Welcome to Marks British Airways Fleet Update, looking at short and long-haul fleets.
Thanks for joining us on the British Airways Fleet Update. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click for notifications.
Welcome to this special edition of the British Airways Fleet Update, focusing on the long-haul fleet strategy subsequent to the 2025 long-haul fleet aircraft orders, which I think have made a real difference to where we are, and it's a good opportunity for me to update. I have recorded previous episodes around the fleet strategy. Some of my predictions have come true, some have been vindicated, some proven not to be correct. And what are the headlines? Well, if you're not already up to speed, 6 additional Airbus A350-1000 aircraft with Rolls-Royce engines, 6 additional Boeing 777-9 aircraft with GE engines, and 32 additional Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner aircraft with GE engines announced in the aftermath of the US-UK trade deal in May 2025. Well, what I want to do is just describe the pre-pandemic position on the long-haul fleet, recent fleet developments, tell you what needs replacing, talk about the orders that were already in place for British Airways prior to 2025, what they ordered in March this year, what they ordered in May, the likely configurations of the aircraft and how they might be used. My initial thoughts on this big aircraft order, it was a bigger order than we expected. It's a lot of aircraft. Big aircraft also feature the A350-1000, the 777-9, and the biggest Dreamliner variant, the Series 10. It does give British Airways options for future growth and to take out the 777-300ER if it wanted to. It's also got options the other way to keep 4 of the 777-200s from 2009 that have got a little bit more life left in them than the other aircraft. But there are some big questions still outstanding after this order, especially around British Airways' intentions for the first class product and their likely route development. It's still to be confirmed how they'll use the aircraft. It's also worth noting this is a big win for General Electric. Only 6 aircraft orders for Rolls-Royce engines, 38 for GE. Well, that was the British Airways fleet position prior to the pandemic in March 2020, a fleet dominated really by 777s and 747s, as well as a reasonable number of Dreamliners. But the decisions that were taken really in the aftermath of the pandemic's effect being felt were to get rid of 31 747s, all the 747s, and the 3 eldest 777s. But new aircraft did come on stream through 2020 and each year subsequently. So British Airways has taken 13 Airbus A350-1000s to add to the 5 it already had, and that gets you to 18. The last 4 of the 777-300 ERs arrived, and 12 787-10s have either been delivered or, in the case of Lima, just about to be delivered. That's 29 aircraft. And what has that done to capacity? Well, first class, they've only restored 26.4% of the first class capacity they withdrew in the pandemic. They've restored 69% of Club World, 120% of World Traveller Plus or Premium Economy, and 87.3% of World Traveller or Economy capacity has been restored. Quite a complex slide this, but I've broken each subfleet down, particularly around the 777s, showing the age of the aircraft. And as I take you through, I can show you the elderly aircraft are clearly the 777s. I've highlighted them in red, and they're the aircraft that need replacing. as part of this order. And that's the individual aircraft frames by their UK registration, and those 4 slightly less elderly 777-236s highlighted separately there for you. So prior to the orders in 2025, BA was waiting for 6 787-10s, as well as the 1 787-10 with Rolls-Royce engines, but the 6 new GE engined aircraft, expecting them next year and into 27, and 18 777Xs with the General Electric engines. Worth noting, those 777-9s were originally ordered for 747 renewal, but with the changes that were made to the fleet, they're now expected to replace the 777-236s in the Gulf Victor India series at London Heathrow. And the new aircraft orders, well, there were 6 Airbus A350-1000s, 6 777-9s ordered in March, and then in May that was followed up with an order for 32 Boeing 787-10s with GE engines. My personal view is BA's got really 3 options for the interiors. 2 Heathrow options, one with first class, one without, very much mimicking the 777 layouts at Heathrow, and a Gatwick layout which again broadly replicates a very slight decrease in economy capacity, but broadly replicates the 777 layout, and they're going to arrive between 2028 and 2033. If we have a look in a bit more detail, that's the A350-1000 with the seating layout of the existing fleet. No reason to believe that's going to change. There is an option to take those aircraft to Gatwick, but my view is they'll stay at Heathrow. They're a high capacity aircraft, no first class, a good long range capability, and they keep British Airways in the Rolls-Royce game. 777-9s, no confirmation of exactly what the seating plan will look like, but when ordered, BA told us they were going to have 8 first class, 65 club suites, 46 World Traveller Plus and 206 World Traveller seats. There'll be 24 of those, and a Heathrow aircraft beyond any doubt, and new first class on those aircraft as well, and staying away from Rolls-Royce. No choice there because they only come with the GE engine. And then I've put 2 potential interiors down for the Boeing 787-10s, and I've also used the term IGW, which stands for increased gross weight. Worth pointing out, the 787-10 will become the dominant aircraft in the British Airways fleet. Over 50% of the long-haul fleet will be 787-10s. The IGW version, increased gross weight, will maximise load and range, and also we're expecting BA to order these aircraft with crew bunks. And while they still will struggle a little bit on the ultra long routes, the vast majority of routes will be within their capability. The second layout, and I'm grateful to contributor BJ787 on the Flyer Talk website and the British Airways site, who's drawn this up using a well-known design that you see on the Aerolopa website. This is a possible Gatwick configuration, although I've adjusted his numbers slightly to take a slightly higher economy class layout forward. And there's a third layout which we don't have yet a design for, which would be the Heathrow non-first class layout as well. I think British Airways will want to try and keep this simple. They're not going to want lots of different subtypes, but equally, I don't think they'll want first class on a lot of aircraft that don't need them. There is also a question mark about first class in certain aircraft, because the smaller wide body aircraft may not fit the first class suites that BA's ordered, certainly not in a 4 abreast configuration. So some options there, and British Airways, as I understand it, has not yet decided what it's going to do with this. It's got plenty of time, so while people can speculate, the answers have not yet been fully determined. So look, at Heathrow, I've compared in blue at the bottom the existing 2 types of 777 with the aircraft that are coming, the A350, the 777-9, and the 2 possible variants of 787 design. You can see there that all of them are slightly bigger than the 777, apart from possibly the 787-10 replacing the 77L variant, but not by very much. At Gatwick, there's going to be a very small decrease in capacity. I've shown for comparison the A350-1000. We're not expecting that to be an option, but it's possible. Some people have talked about the 787-9s getting refitted and sent to Gatwick. I think that's exceptionally unlikely. They're not going to want to run them for 5 years in a Gatwick configuration out of Heathrow, and they're not going to want to refit them after 5 years. So I just don't see that happening. But clearly nothing's impossible, and British Airways might have better thoughts and ideas on this. So let's just summarize that aircraft replacement program and see what's coming. 38 787-10s on their way, 6 already ordered, 32 in the new order. General Electric engines, 3 potential configurations, 6 Airbus A350-1000s almost certainly coming in the same configuration as the existing fleet, and 24 Boeing 777-9s coming, 18 already ordered, 6 new ones, and a configuration, I'm sure, for all of them that will be the same. And that's currently down as 8 first class, 65 Club, 46 World Traveller Plus, and 206 World Traveller. Now, even after this announcement, there are still some questions I think that need to be resolved, or announcements that we're still waiting. So we don't know formally which long-haul type will operate from Gatwick Airport on the BA long-haul network out of that airport. I'm assuming it's the 787-10 with a seating layout that will closely mimic the 777-200, albeit 9 across and not 10 o'clock across. We don't yet know the future of first class on the British Airways Dreamliner fleet. Will they gain new first suites in some form? Will they retain existing seats as a sort of second tier of first class that BA will operate, or will they lose first class entirely and BA will just focus its first class product on 777Xs and A380s? Will British Airways keep the 777-300s, or will it look to start to migrate those out of the fleet at a younger age than it's done with the other 777s, or will it keep the aircraft and try and grow the business? And if it's growing the business, what might that look like? Will they want to restore routes to Abu Dhabi, to Kuwait? Would they want to launch new routes from Heathrow, new routes from Gatwick? Would they potentially want to restore long-haul aircraft on Heathrow routes like Tel Aviv, Amman, or Cairo? Would they want to add additional capacity on existing routes? So Philadelphia, for example, Toronto, which used to have higher levels of frequency than they have today, and new long-haul networks, potentially maybe Manchester or Edinburgh, might benefit from British Airways entering the long-haul business. What I've done here, I've shown you on the top part of that table the capacity on the 777 fleet that's being withdrawn, and then I've shown in the second half of the table the capacity from the new aircraft that are on order, that are on their way. And what you can see is a big increase in capacity. This is the number of seats in the fleet, not necessarily the number of seats in the schedule, but 100% capacity increase coming towards British Airways. and that's obviously very, very substantial. So the existing fleet as well as the new fleet has some questions. Key questions, I think, for the existing fleet: what will the layout of the 787-9 cabin look like? There was an article online that suggested it would have 8 first class, 38 club, 38 World Traveller Plus and 127 World Traveller. That may or may not be correct. If it's going to have first class, what will it look like? That question I've already posed: what will happen to first class on the fleets that have currently got it that are staying? What will happen to that in the longer term? And what will an Airbus A380 look like? We think the new seating layout after refresh is going to have a lot less seats. We think it's going to be more premium heavy, but we don't know exactly what it will look like or in what proportions. And let's go back to that table we started this presentation with, but adding in another column for the future. And British Airways had 136 aircraft in the long haul fleet before the pandemic started doing its dirty deeds, and in the future they're looking to get back to that level and exceed it and get to 156 aircraft. And you can see the dominant position of the 787-10, 50 out of 156, and then when you add in the other Dreamliner variants, 80 out of 156 aircraft will be Boeing Dreamliners in the future. So that summarizes where we are with the British Airways long haul fleet strategy. A lot of questions, I think, have been answered with the recent announcements. We've got quite a lot of clarity, but there are still a few areas where BA's intentions are not clear, and it will be interesting to see how that emerges in the next few weeks, months and years. So I hope you found that of interest. I'd love you to show your appreciation for this by liking the video if you think that's appropriate. And also, what do you think about the British Airways long haul fleet strategy? What will you be looking out for? What are the things that you think BA should be doing next? Do let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed the video and you want more content like this, make sure you've subscribed to my channel and clicked for notifications. I'll catch you here again on Marks Trains, Planes and Trams very, very soon.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe and click the notification button so you don't miss any of the great trips Mark has coming your way on this YouTube channel.